Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Xbox Showcase Podcast Postmortem. I'm excited to announce that on this stage, I have one of our returning partners coming to join us for this presentation. And I just want to hand it over to Clay to give his introduction for the Xbox Showcase. Now, enjoy this world premiere. So who was I? Guess who I was?
Phil Spencer.
Okay, yeah, Spencer. He has this very
Yeah.
he has this very weird. I've noticed it the more I've watched him. He has this very odd way of speaking,
He's
which
like, thanks, man.
thank you, Mr. Kojima. I'm excited to announce. And he it's that same inflection every time, even when whether he's doing an interview or he's on stage, he sounds like an android that has maybe a
He's literally,
little
he
bit
sounds like a freaking
more.
PlayStation robot. That's what he sounds
I think
like.
he
One of
sounds
those.
I think he sounds a little bit better than there's actually there's the semblance of a personality kind of hiding in there. It's just beneath the surface a little bit. And he has that those inflections, the corpo. It's a strange mix of corpo speak and that annoying good guy gamer shtick that he's got.
Yeah.
It's a strange blend of the two. But now that I can't make fun of Jim Ryan anymore, I have to. He's and it's tough to make fun of Herman Hulst because I can't do a Dutch accent very well. So I guess I just have to go with corpo American speak with
Yeah.
Phil Spencer, I guess. But no, in all seriousness, I'm joined by Clay for the annual Xbox Showcase Postmortem podcast. And as always, thank you for joining me, sir.
No
How,
problem.
how are you doing today?
Oh, pretty good. So we got a heat wave here in the East Coast, but otherwise I'm fine.
Good, good. So, um, this is going to have a similar structure to the previous years that we've done this, where we're just going to go through each game individually. We'll bookend it with impressions, overall impressions, but so to get things started, let's do general impressions of the Xbox Showcase. So, if our opinions are the same compared to when we first saw it, I think you and I disagree on the overall quality of the showcase. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts now that we're almost 2 weeks removed from the initial presentation.
I think like it's, and this is just like our, this isn't our true ratings at the moment. If you would give like the showcase like a B plus or an A minus, mine would be like a D plus or a
Oh,
D. Yeah.
that bad? Whoa, that bad?
I'm sorry, there just like wasn't that many games in there that impressed me.
Wow. Are you basing it on your games that are just purely interesting to you, or is it just the overall pacing of it, or what?
I feel,
What's
yeah,
the
I
Clay
feel
criteria?
yeah, I feel like it's a personal bias because there's just a lot of games on there. I'm like, I don't care, I don't care,
Okay.
I don't care.
Yeah, this is where we have a significant disagreement because I thought it was a good showcase, a good
There,
solid
I will say though,
showcase.
before we start, there
Yeah.
is one game on this. I don't know if it's like two games. I think
Hmm.
there's like one game that I love. You were like, I don't care, and it's complete opposite. You know what game I'm talking about?
I honestly, I'll have to when we get there.
Yeah, when
I'm
you
trying to
get there,
think
it's like you'll know, you'll
I'm trying to
know.
think what it might be, but I think what I want to do is pump the brakes on this opinion that's bubbled around this
Uh-huh.
particular showcase of it being one of the all-time great showcases, which I like the showcase, but
Oh
I don't
yeah.
understand where I understand where it's coming from, that kind of talk, but I let's calm down a little bit calling this one of the all-time great
I mean,
showcases cuz it
it's not
yeah.
like it's not like what a couple of years back. It wasn't. as good as that one was. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't even think it was as good as last year's presentation.
Oh, you know, I'm not talking about last year's. Talking about maybe last year's showcase.
Oh, see,
The one,
I haven't liked any of the
yeah,
ones beyond
the
or
only
before
one,
last year's.
yeah, the only one I know that was like I felt like will never top it is the one where the last one, right? They showcase Cyberpunk. That one, in my opinion, is
Oh
one of the
yeah, that
best.
one was really good.
Yeah.
I still think the best Xbox presentation they've had in the last 10 years
Uh,
was maybe E3 2015 or
mm,
2016 maybe. I would have to go back and
yeah,
rewatch
yeah, because I think
some
like
of them.
2015 or 2016, that was more, I think, PlayStation, in
Oh,
my opinion.
PlayStation completely overshadowed Xbox in 2015 and
Yeah. Now
2016.
look at them. Now look at them.
Eh. But I think where this sentiment is coming from for this being one of the all-time great showcases is that Xbox fans have been starving for so long that they finally see a bunch of good-looking games, and so they're kind of, to quote Eddie Murphy, you know, if you're starving and somebody throws you a saltine cracker, you're gonna think that's the best goddamn cracker you've ever had in your life because you've
It
been
feels like,
starving.
yeah, it feels, at least to me, it feels like almost a PlayStation thing where it's like, or no, like PlayStation is like, it's almost like they train people to be like, these are the games that you like, and we're gonna throw it at you. Like we said, with Xbox, it's like it's all over the place. They don't know what their audience, you know, they're throwing it at everybody. You like RPGs? Here you go. Shooters? Here you
Hmm.
go. RTSs? Here you go.
They absolutely have much more genre diversity compared to
Genre and
PlayStation.
variety. Mhm.
And then I think what also drags this showcase down is that I think Xbox shot themselves in the foot by announcing so many of these games so far in advance, like
And and
Fable,
also
Perfect
and
Dark,
uh,
State of Decay 3. And I think, can you imagine how good this showcase would have been if they had not said a word about any of those games and this was the very first time that we had seen them? I think that would have been big to see Fable, Perfect Dark, State of Decay 3, and then there's another one that I'm trying to think of, but they were all announced so damn soon that when they popped up, it was more of a sense of, oh, they're showing it again, finally. Or I feel like we just didn't. Or Avowed. They announced Avowed as well so damn long ago now at
I
this
know,
point that
like
it's like, dude, you you gotta stop. You gotta stop pulling a Square Enix and announcing these things so early, my guy. This is not working. And then they didn't announce any new games outside of Gears of War E-Day, but that didn't have gameplay, so mm. That's why I thought last year's was better because we got more new announcements last year, like South of Midnight and Clockwork Revolution and Towerboard. And this year you just had Gears but no gameplay. And then they also, I thought they padded the show out too much with,
especially with freaking Black Ops 6. I was like,
oh
oh,
yeah.
I was almost sleeping.
Well, I
And
was
I
gonna
got
say
nothing
the
against, yeah.
I was gonna say the Blizzard cinematics I thought were
Yeah, I was like,
I
granted, yeah. I myself am at least like I'm not a Blizzard fan. I just like World of Warcraft. I don't give a fuck about like Overwatch 2 or
no
Diablo or any of that. Because yeah, honestly, those games kind of like suck in terms of their monetization.
oh
But
they're
like
horrible.
at least with WoW, it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. We get like, I don't know, like, and at least the IDI guys like, oh, some new classes, races, or whichever to play. It's like, oh, that's cool. And then I don't know, Microsoft kind of swept this under the rug because we all thought that shit was gonna be on Game Pass, and I was like, nope, we're just
Or
making this.
console. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, nah, we're gonna make this useless
No.
ass trailer that we could easily just put this on YouTube or something or on our Twitter, but
Yeah,
nah, like,
it's the definition of this could have been an email. Those cinematics.
but
They were just
they know, at least on Blizzard side, they know that, like, look, this is gonna get Xbox but it's so dumb. It's so fucking
It's
dumb.
annoying. It's like when
Yeah.
they keep bringing out the annual Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online updates to these
Yeah,
Xbox events
like
now that
we'll
they've
get, well,
bought
yeah, we should
Bethesda.
get to that. Like, we should talk like more than detail like
Yes,
later.
sure,
When
sure,
we're
sure.
doing this stuff.
So I normally, because they had the direct at the end of Call of Duty 6, I would leave it at the end. But because I'm gonna start with Call of Duty 6, Black
Yeah,
Ops
I was
6,
gonna
because I
say. I was
don't.
gonna say.
I, okay, so the first game technically they showed off was Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which is coming out October 25th, 2024 on Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PS5, PS4, PC, and it will be available day one in Game Pass. And it's developed by Treyarch and Raven Software and published by Activision Blizzard King. And look, I went through this direct again after I saw it for the first time. And even after rewatching the 25-minute direct and rewatching the story trailer, I honestly just don't have much to say about this game. It's Call of Duty. Like, okay. It's going to be big, no doubt. It'll probably be the biggest moneymaker of the year, but well, we'll see with it being on Game Pass. I that's the thing that's okay. I'm much more interested in how this impacts Microsoft and Game Pass than I am actually in the game itself.
Like it's actually gonna make any money, sales, etc.,
On
that kind of thing.
Xbox, yeah, it'll
Yeah.
definitely make money on PS5 and PlayStation and PC. I'm very curious to see what the. I don't think they'll provide any kind of statistics because Xbox likes to obfuscate the Game Pass data, but I'm so fascinated to see how this, because it feels like a big dice roll for Microsoft to put this on Game Pass. And I know that
Right.
this is something
Yeah.
they had to do because they would look so terrible if they went back on their promise for everything coming day one to Game Pass with I would argue the reason they went after Activision Blizzard King is to get Call of Duty. This is the game. This and Candy Crush are the games
Yeah.
that
Candy Crush.
they well
Oh God.
because they want to do that mobile store as
True.
well.
True.
So I know they want to do the mobile store, and I know Candy Crush because that's also a big moneymaker. That will do gangbusters for them as well. But Call of Duty, as far as consoles go, Call of Duty. That's the one. I'm
Yeah.
very fascinated to see what it does for Game Pass, if it will actually make that big of a difference.
Oh yeah, it's like if you guys wanted my input on this, I think that like at least a few factors, right? Of course, yes, it's gonna be on Game Pass, so it'll be cheap as hell to get. At least, hey, you only wasted like $10 to try it, and
Sure.
usually they charge like 70 fucking dollars for this thing. It still does
Mm-hmm.
that this game is probably going to be like 200 plus gigabytes.
Ugh.
Like and also like and I'm sorry, it's like that they do the whole like, oh, we got this awesome new control scheme thing, and then like I did my own research and I'm like, yeah, Half-Life did this shit like 20 plus years ago. You're not doing anything innovative with that movement system,
Uh,
Treyarch.
and
um
then I
you
think
go, you go, Phil.
they mentioned that they're gonna go back to a more round based
Yeah,
zombies
zombies, brown-based
mode.
zombies.
I know that they're gonna have the multiplayer showcase in at the end of August because this presentation was more focused on the single player, which okay. Uh, uh again, I just don't have much to say about Black Ops 6 and I sorry. I just don't have
Yeah.
much to say about Black Ops 6.
This feels like, if anything, if you'd asked me though, this definitely. I'm not saying it's in terms of quality, but more like a storyline thing. That
Mhm.
this would definitely be like almost like the Metal Gear Solid 5 of the Black Ops thing, because it's like like at least like 20-30 years before 2, but like
Mhm.
um 20 no 30 years after Black Ops 1. We're kind of in the middle right now of the timeline.
Yeah.
And it's in the Gulf War, and we've been asking for a Gulf War game for years, and I was like, and I called it out years ago. I was like, yeah, this just gonna be like they're gonna put in Black Ops. They're not gonna do a modern warfare, Gulf War game.
It'd be hilarious if they added a Saddam Hussein skin to Warzone.
Oh yeah.
It'd be
Oh
so
god.
funny. You get to watch Cheech and Chong engage in a gun battle with Saddam Hussein and
Oh
and Snoop Dogg.
yeah. It's like at the same
Oh
time though, I feel like the
man,
COD developers they don't really do the whole like, oh, we're gonna get in trouble for this. We don't give a shit kind of
they
thing
don't
like
give
they
a
did
fuck about
years
committing to
ago.
realism anymore with these
Yeah.
ridiculous ass skins. I mean, did you
Especially
see?
especially Black Ops, yeah, especially
Yeah,
Black Ops and Warzone.
they
I mean, not
added
Black Ops,
in.
sorry, zombies. I
They're
meant to say
having people
zombies.
run around in fucking Fallout shelter gear now.
I know, I saw that, and
Like, dude.
I was kind of like,
So if you want to move on, I'm done talking about Black
oh
Ops
yeah,
6. I
yeah,
got nothing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you, yeah.
All right, thank God the next game, way more interesting to talk about, is Doom the Dark Ages, which is coming out in 2025 for Xbox Series X and S, PS5, PC. Will be on Game Pass day one, developed by id Software, of course, published by Bethesda. And
Bethesda.
it's technically it's the third game in the new Doom franchise, sub-franchise, but it is a prequel that shows the
Yep.
origin of the Doomslayer in the medieval ages. And it looks really fucking good. You get like chainsaw shield, get a mech, you get to
Yeah,
ride around on
you
a
get a little
dragon.
flail. Yeah, you get a little flail weapon you can use
Yeah.
too.
You get a gun that chews up skulls and uses
Literally
the
called
as
Skull Crusher,
bullets.
by the
A
way.
skull
Yeah,
crusher.
Skull
It's
Crusher.
so stupid, but it's awesome.
The interesting thing too, before I forget, the very interesting thing too is and I thought this was fine. And no, before people say, "Oh, they just made it to make it easy," but apparently the developers said that Doom Slayer will be more tanky in this game compared
Okay,
to him in Eternal. So yeah,
good.
you're less likely to like jump around stuff. You basically just tank whatever you're fighting most of the time. So
I would hope so, considering it looked like just from the trailer they're gonna have a greater emphasis on blocking and parrying in this
yeah.
game. Which if I have one concern about the gameplay from what I saw in that trailer, that's the thing that I was a little when I saw the blocking and parrying, because I Doom is just not Doom is not a game I go to when I want to block and parry. I just no. I'd rather I mean I'm fine with them making Doomslayer tankier in this, because I thought he was a tad too weak
I know,
in
right? He was a tad too weak
Eternal,
in a turn.
but this time, yeah, make him tankier, but just I don't want to be standing still and putting up my shield to block. And I mean, the shield looks cool in this. It's a chainsaw shield, for God's sakes. But that's my one concern about the
Which
gameplay.
it's already crazy because the modders at Doom already put it in Doom 1. Like you guys are fucking insane.
Throwing around his little
God.
Captain America shield, which is a cool idea. And then
Oh
I
yeah,
just
I wouldn't be surprised. I would love if they put a Captain America shield in there in
they
Dark
modded one.
Ages.
You know they're gonna mod one in. They're absolutely gonna mod in a Captain America
Yeah,
shield for
they got
Doomslayer.
that like Fallout mod brain work in play because they could just basically mod whatever the hell they want into the game somehow.
Yeah. And then even though Mick Gordon isn't going to be involved, unfortunately,
Mm.
I I did like what I heard of the music in that
The music
trailer.
was good.
It's good. It's just that's a little bit of a dark cloud that's hanging over this game for me. The lack of Mick Gordon, because I think so much of the game, the first two games' personality comes from that score from Mick Gordon. So to not have him around for Dark Ages is it's unfortunate. It's not a deal breaker. It's not gonna make me go, well, I'm not gonna buy this game. It's just it's a shame that he's not gonna be there. Because Mick Gordon's
Mm.
awesome, and his music for Doom 2016 and Eternal was fucking great.
Yeah. At
So
least in the good news, like he's still like doing work.
sure,
He
yeah,
just yeah, like he's just I actually like wish listed it. He's doing a horror game with some guys. So
yeah,
I can't wait to at least like hear his music on how he does that.
that should be cool. Him doing a horror game, that should be fucking dope.
Yeah, it's like sci-fi horror game, so it's like gonna
Yeah,
be really
perfect,
cool.
perfect. It's like his Prey. Is it gonna be like his Prey soundtrack?
Oh, I hope so. I hope
That'd be
so.
cool. So next game is Stay Decay 3, which is
Yeah.
this the first time we've seen this game since 2020, and it
Yes,
still
a whole
doesn't have a
4 years.
release date
And it
or a
still
release
doesn't
window.
have like full on gameplay, just quote
Right.
unquote in-game footage and
Yeah.
cinematics.
And then it's just to say it's going to be releasing on Xbox Series X and S, obviously on PC, day one on Game Pass. Developed by Undead Labs, published by Xbox themselves. And I'm going to say the same thing that I've said with all these State of Decay trailers, is that be very skeptical of the graphics quality that they're presenting in a trailer. Because I guarantee you it's not going to be as smooth to play in real time when we actually get our hands on it compared to what they show in these trailers. I don't believe it. Because State of Decay, both of them are two of the ugliest fucking games I've ever seen.
Like yeah, they at least from my point of view, the gameplay is fun. Don't get me wrong. It is a bit like what is it, boring, grindy, because right, you gotta build the bases and then like protect your guy, and if you
Mm-hmm.
die, you gotta start all over again, like almost like a roguelite,
Yeah.
you know, kind of point of view. But yeah, and yeah, these were like I think Unreal Engine
Yeah,
that they
this is
used. So
I think it's Unreal Engine 5 that it's going to be working with,
yeah.
which again that makes me all the more skeptical of the
Yeah, because
graphical
like
quality
I
they're
can't even
presenting.
remember. I can't remember if if they use Unreal Engine 3 or 4 for State of Decay 2. Because if they use 4, good God, it's like
That's
right.
hideous.
I've seen Unreal Engine 4 games. You've seen Unreal Engine 4 games. That
Yes, I
shit is
have.
ugly as fuck. Like,
And then what I hate too about this trailer is that I, I thought it was just the trailer itself was just dull and kind of annoying with the whole the wistful prattling about connecting with others and other nonsense. And then when, because I've heard people say, "Oh, they showed gameplay in this trailer." Oh wow. Wow, gameplay. You had two very brief snippets of people shooting guns. Wow, what amazing gameplay. So it's Unreal Engine 4, by the way, State of Decay 2. I just looked it up.
God, oh God, yeah,
Yeah.
oh God.
Jesus Christ. I mean, it's not Ark Survival Evolved bad or that Survival
Yeah, it's
Ascended
just like
bad,
it's
but
just not like it
uh
just doesn't look good at
no, it
all,
doesn't.
in my opinion.
It doesn't. But I understand, look, I understand that the appeal of State of Decay is it's not the graphics, it's the gameplay, which I understand, but the even the gameplay is not at all what I have in mind when I'm looking for a fun time in a video game. It's not my thing at all. Next game is gonna be, oh my god, is Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which
Yeah,
yeah.
by the way, it's like okay, and it's like I will say this to EA and maybe BioWare, maybe because maybe they were involved in this too. What the fuck were you thinking putting this trailer in when later
Hmm.
we saw a much better trailer than this fucking trailer?
Yeah. So just to get out of the way, this is coming out in 2024 on Xbox Series X and S, PS5, PC, developed by BioWare, of course, published by EA, of course. And I think this was easily the worst thing in the entire showcase. Easily. I thought this and the ESO trailer I thought were the worst things here. Because this as Clay mentioned, this I can't believe this trailer got through multiple people and was okayed. I don't I don't understand where the whoever is in charge of the marketing and okayed this trailer had the final say. They need to be fired. They gotta go because they did not do this game justice at all with the CG trailer. Because like Clay said, I still think the game looks looks just fine when they finally showed gameplay of it a couple days later, but it man, this fucking CG trailer was ugly as shit. I thought it was hideous, quite frankly. The art direction, and I don't think it's an exaggeration at all to say it looked like some fucking Fortnite mobile game shit with the way it
I
looked in the
heard someone
trailer.
said it was like a Tangled ripoff, Disney's ripoff.
Yeah, it looks just
Oh my god!
it just it was so bizarre to see this and Fable in the same showcase, because I felt like just based on the two trailers that were in this showcase exclusively, it almost felt like the series had swapped color palettes and art direction. And even though I think it's a little too colorful in that normal gameplay, again, here it just looked like some fucking mobile game. And then I am so tired of this, whatever the fuck these companies are doing by putting in these horrible overdone covers of songs, because they had David Bowie's Heroes in this trailer and it
Oh
sounded
god!
horrendous. Jesus Christ.
There's two things that I don't understand. Old farts keep doing that thinks it appeals to us is one, the stupid ass songs and the MCU like dialogue and humor. It doesn't work 99% of the time for the types of games they're trying to put out, especially like RPG games. Like, this doesn't appeal to us at all. You're just embarrassing yourselves.
It's made for a modern audience that does not exist. The modern audience is a myth, and I'm tired of people using that as a supposedly a selling point of your game. When I hear we made this for a modern audience, that does not excite me at all. That in fact makes me worried for your game. But thankfully they released that. Thank God for that gameplay footage, because and even then, I've seen that the response to that gameplay footage was pretty divisive among a lot of people, but it looked a hell of a lot better than that CG trailer. That garish, ugly as shit CG trailer. Just good God, terrible. I think we could probably quickly get through the next two games. So
Yeah, speaking of terrible,
uh,
Starfield DLC.
which I don't know about terrible. I'm indifferent towards
I
it.
say terrible, and this is just more of a personal note that pisses me off. Is like, oh, we handcrafted this DLC, for this faction, whichever. And I'm like, dudes, you could have handcrafted a lot of shit, and you could have handcrafted this faction that barely had any semblance. I didn't give a fuck about this faction.
No, neither did
But
I.
but you're making a whole ass DLC that people still have to pay money for.
Well, then it's tied to I think her name was Andrea or whatever the fuck her name was,
Yep,
who had
Andrea.
zero personality other than being bitchy.
Yep.
And it's like, now I'm supposed to care when I what the hell are you doing?
I personally think it's gonna be, not that it's gonna be crap. I mean, pretty sure the Bethesda fans at least they always like the DLC. This one I'm still mad. It's like, oh, you could have made shit handcrafted. Hell, you could have put the rovers in. Like,
yeah, a lot of the stuff they did post launch, like maps, city
I know.
maps.
I was like, you easily could have delayed the game for like another couple of years.
Well, and then they added 60 frames in a post-launch patch, and I went, "Why the fuck didn't you guys just wait until earlier this year? Why didn't you guys just put it out in January or something? Just tell. This is what I'm not gonna go on a diatribe about this, but just this whole patch culture thing just pisses me off to no end. And then it would have saved them such a headache if they had just said, hey, we're going to delay it to next year. This is so we can have 60 frames at launch, and then we just need to add a few more quality of life features in, and we'll see you next year. Do you know how much goodwill they would have gotten if they had just said that? Just been open to people and said, hey, this is why we're going to delay the game. Not this shit that Cyberpunk started where they got to put out the fucking apology paragraph, the novella of
if
vagueness.
I would defend them, I don't want to go on a tangent. If I want to defend that, to be clear, the developers themselves said, "Look, we want to delay it, but our asshole publishers
Right,
is
exactly.
like forcing us to push this out. We
Yeah.
don't want to."
I'm not blaming Bethesda game studios to be more specific. I'm talking about Bethesda and Microsoft themselves
And maybe like I don't know.
as a
Heck,
publisher.
I don't know if I want to keep blaming Toddy Boy because sometimes I feel
No, I don't think.
Todd is a developer. Like he wants to be a developer, but he's like more
Yeah,
the wingman. He doesn't want to be the wingman. He just wants to work on the games.
yeah. I don't think Todd Howard really, just from everything that I've heard from him, I don't really think he has much interest as far as the producing or let's the cold hard business side of it. He's more
Yeah.
into the developing and the creative production side of it, such as him being involved with Indiana Jones and the Fallout TV show, but he's not a guy like whoever they had as what was his fucking name? Pete Hines. Like when they had Pete Hines around at Bethesda, he's
Oh
not
God,
like
yeah.
that.
It's like if I had to choose between who I'll say, well, the Todd I kind of sort of dislike, but it's not his fault. Pete, on the other hand, I fucking hate. Like, oh God, I can't stand him more than Todd.
Well, he's gone now, so we don't have to
Yeah,
we don't have to
good, fuck
worry
him.
about that anymore. Next game, which this is going to be very brief, is Fallout 76 Skyline Valley, which like this is the thing that we were talking about in the opening impression segment is that this these some of these games feel like their appearances feel like obligations at this point where now with future Xbox presentations I'm going to be going, "Oh, here's the obligatory Fallout 76 trailer. Oh, here's the obligatory Elder Scrolls Online trailer. Oh, here's the obligatory World of Warcraft trailer." You get my point. But
Yeah,
when some of these presentations, or at least elements of them, start to feel like obligations, that's when I start to zone out. That's when,
yeah.
and I said this back on the direct podcast that we did yesterday. I I just want to. I was embarrassed by how much I was on my phone during the Xbox presentation when I was streaming it,
Yeah.
and I would say most of it I was embarrassed to be on my phone, and I really definitely it's my failure to not have paid more attention in the moment to certain things. But when I start seeing a World of Warcraft cinematic, or I start seeing Fallout 76 again.
Or I don't know, a typical anime style game. And I'm
Sure,
like, or
that's
JRPG.
that's when I feel justified to reach for my phone or go take a piss break, like I did during
Oh,
the Elder
if
Scrolls
they're oh
Online
God,
thing.
this one pissed me off like the most, right? And you'll probably know what I'm talking about context wise.
Mhm.
One last thing I want to say about a Starfield thing,
Oh,
that
okay.
shitty ass creation club.
Oh, yeah. That's
And then
right.
like and right and like help me out here. They said some bullshit about like, oh, we got this free quest you can do, and then there's like something else that's like $7, whatever. And I'm like, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Like, no, fuck that. Now we're on to the game that I said ahead of time that me and Razor were somewhat button heads over about like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, I don't know about that
Yeah,
one.
oh my god. This is so the game we're talking about, it's called Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Terrible name, honestly. Coming out in
It's great.
2025 on Xbox Series X and S, PS5, thank God, PC, and it'll be day one on Game Pass. Developed by a new studio called Sandfall Interactive and published by Kepler Interactive. We're an interesting bunch. So, this was my favorite thing at the showcase. And it was definitely the biggest surprise because I think when the trailer first started, it was interesting, and I went, "Oh, okay. It's a melancholic tale and all that. It should be okay. It's probably going to be some action thing." And then I saw that turn-based combat, and I went, "There we go. There we go. That's what completely sold me on the game right there." And this game, it looks like what I want out of a modern Final Fantasy game, at least as far as what it looks like and how it plays. This to me, what Clair Obscur Expedition 33 looks like, this is what I would vastly prefer Final Fantasy 16 to play like, because it is a very beautiful looking game as far as the art direction. Maybe, I don't know about the raw graphical detail, that kind of remains to be seen, but it's a game that is not ashamed of being a turn-based JRPG, like what Final Fantasy 16 is, where it's a shame. It's almost like it's embarrassed to embrace its history and be a turn-based JRPG. And I also love the premise of this game as well. I remember I messaged you after the showcase and I said, hey, the premise of this game sounds really cool, where it's about this figure of death called the Paintress that appears once a year and paints a number on this monolith, and then everybody that has the age that matches with that number dies, or they just basically turn into ash from what we see in the trailer. So Expedition 33, these are, the people that are, most of the people are going to be turning 33 that are a part of this group. They are going to go out on basically a suicide mission and try to kill the Paintress so that she could stop, basically causing an apocalypse of mankind, which I think is a great premise. I love that Ben Starr is going to be involved with this, which also makes the Final Fantasy 16 comparison, apt. And I think just that little bit of music that we heard in the trailer is fantastic. I would implore anyone to go to the studio's YouTube channel and listen to the 11-minute battle theme they put out. That sounds just incredible. It's one of the best tracks of music I've heard in years. Just that 11-minute cut of it is fucking great. And what I find so interesting about this studio as well, because I obviously looked into them after the game was announced and when they did their website, the top people at this studio originally came from Ubisoft, which that was a big surprise to me. But then again, the team behind Stray, a lot of the big people there came from Ubisoft. So maybe these people that Ubisoft has trapped within their sludge, if they can get away, they can make some really cool shit. Just thought. But I know you're not really big on this game anywhere near as much as I am, or at least like hot on it. And I guess I'm curious as to why, beyond the, you're not a big JRPG, like turn-based JRPG guy, or what's?
Yeah, I just think like I don't I don't know. I don't like the name. I just don't
No,
like
terrible name.
the I don't like I don't know. It's Unreal Engine. I'm like, I wish it was a bit more stylish and realistic stylish, if you know what I mean. And um I just think like, oh, it's like modern Final Fantasy 13, and I'm like, I played that and I'm like, I didn't really like it, so
Are you talking about just what's the 13 comparison? Because I strongly disagree with the 13 comparison, but I'm curious specifically which part of it.
oh, I just think it's like it's close to that gameplay style.
See, that's Final Fantasy 13 has this very weird. It's back when they were trying to really meld the turn-based and action gameplay. This is kind of 13 is kind of the genesis of that endeavor, or maybe 12. But 13, they try to do this really weird combat system that just, I don't think it worked at all. But I think Clair Obscur, just from the little bit in the trailer, looks to be much more, at least influenced by traditional turn-based RPG standards. But there's certain things that you can do, like an active system where you can block and target certain weak points in real time, similar to other turn-based games, similar to like what Yakuza
South Park
does.
Stick and Trove. South Park
Kind
Stick
of,
and Trove.
yeah. And like the old Mario and Luigi games where you press A or B at the right time to block or negate damage, or stuff like that. And I think
Right.
that's really cool, and that's, I think, how you push the genre forward, is you add more of those active elements into it while also retaining the turn-based style. Because as soon as I saw that, I went, oh yes, that there we go. That's my ticket in right there. And then I just love how sad this game seems to be, and just the tragic vibe that it's going for.
Yeah, especially around the end of it is like, and they probably like might have done a huge spoiler maybe, but still, it's
Maybe.
like, oh man,
Yeah,
it's
where
like,
she's
oh man,
covered
that's
in
fucked
blood
up.
and screaming. Yeah. And I love that it's basically a suicide mission, because it adds this sense of it already kind of endears me to the characters more, because they know they're more than likely gonna die at the end of this journey. So they're doing this not out of any kind of personal glory, but they're doing it for the betterment of humanity, even if it means the cost of their own lives. Which I already, again, that already endears me to their plight and their struggle and their quest a lot more than the traditional, oh, save the world. I get the princess in the end. I slay the
Yeah.
dragon. I get rich. I become the king. Yada yada. I love the
If
tragic
people,
element to it.
yeah, it's like if people still are confused about the plot, it's like think like this. Think like if death was a real person, and then
Yes.
like they said, right? It's like, oh, paint. He paints a number, and then if, oh, you're 33, for example, you're dead. Everyone who's 33 dies, and then,
Yeah.
oh, so and so. Oh, imagine like if it's like, oh, next person that's gonna die could be 34. We're
Yes.
33. We're gonna go out and kill this motherfucker, and then most of us are probably going to die. So there we go.
Mhm.
That's how Expedition 33 is.
And then and they mentioned in the trailer that multiple expeditions have been made to try to kill the paintress, but they've all ended in failure. So again, this is more like a, we're more than likely going to die, but we're resilient enough to do this. And again, I find that so fascinating that multiple expeditions have been made and they've all ended in failure, and they've all ended in the death. And so I wonder what is going to be the difference, because
Yeah.
I assume the paintress is going to be the final boss, because it's within Final Fantasy tradition that you are literally killing a god at the end of the game. So you technically are killing a goddess of sorts with this paintress character. But I am really, really looking forward to this. I can't wait to see more. I think this has so much promise as a game, and I'm stoked. I can't wait to see more. I loved what I saw. I really did. I loved it the more I looked into it too.
Next one is let me check. Oh yeah, South of Midnight. Man,
Yes.
like what as soon as this popped up, uh I think like I don't know if it was just me or you. We love the style of it, of course, and it
Hmm.
has that, I hate to keep comparing it, Spider Verse like animation frame rate they did, but then like the gameplay popped in, and then it's like the character models and some of the characters have that like limited frame rate, and then
Hmm.
it still went to 60 FPS. I'm like, that's fucking
It
genius,
looks
you know.
gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah.
And this is developed by a studio that I don't really have that much affinity for, which is Compulsion, because they did Contrast, which eh, and they did We Happy Few, which I didn't like at all from the little bit that I played. But
Right.
I would say out of all the games that Xbox has in their pipeline right now, I would say this is the one that is the most unique out of all of them. And this was my second favorite thing at the presentation, but the setting combined with this stop motion art style, it's speaking my language. You want to get me on board with what you're doing? Have a deep mythical South setting combined with the look and feel of a stop motion animated movie. That's how you'll win me over.
I know, yeah. It was like I was on Twitter, right? And I was in shock because like my friend from the South, he's like from Texas, Georgia. It took him a while, and I was like, dude, you gotta see this. And he was like bedazzled by because he loves Southern legend tales
Hmm.
and stuff. So I was like, oh yeah. It's like
It's
this
so
is totally up
cool.
his fucking alley. Yeah. And
And
it surprises me though. I'm like, yeah, I realize. I'm like, man, no one has really made a game like this, you know?
not to this extent. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had instances of stop motion in games. For instance, the Spider-Verse suit in Miles Morales
Yeah.
has that 24 frames look to it while maintaining the 60 frames gameplay, and it looks really good there. But that's just, and it's something you can turn off as well. And I wonder, because I've heard from some people that because I was really hot on the game, and when I talked to them about South of Midnight, they didn't really like it because that stop motion element gave them a headache. So I'm wondering if there's going to be a way to turn it off. But that to me just defeats the point of it, because the whole part of its style is that stop motion animation. One thing too with this is that, at least with this presentation, it has nothing really to do with the game itself. I wish this presentation had been longer because I wanted to see more of the combat. Because when I went back and I watched it after the initial showcase, I went, oh, I didn't realize how little of the combat that they showed in comparison to
Yeah.
just exploration and navigation and the cutscenes. Because she only fights two
Like one, yeah,
enemies, or
one,
one or
two
two.
dudes. Yeah,
Yeah,
one or two dudes.
and the combat looked fine just from the little
Yeah,
bit
it
that we
wasn't
saw.
bad. I
No,
checked it again. I was like, I hope I actually like the comment this time, not just be like, oh god, like it's gonna suck. Though I will say, of course, one thing after I love the detail thing where it's like, oh, after you defeat an enemy, the area gets more
yes,
cleaner, nicer,
does the
kind of
Kana
thing.
Bridge of
That was
Spirits
nice.
thing, yeah.
Yeah,
And I love too that there's the element of the gliding to it. That reminded me a lot of Infamous as well. I love that shot of her
yeah,
flying into the church area and then those birds fly around her. I thought that was really cool. And one thing too that I thought was refreshing is that this game, and you mentioned it earlier with the Dragon Age stuff, is that
yep,
every game these days that's trying to appeal to a modern audience, in quotes, feels like their dialogue has to come from some kind of bargain bin quirky MCU shit, where all
yeah.
these characters are just constantly quipping with each other and having out of place humor. And the little exchange that the main character had with her swamp friend,
Fish
I
buddy,
thought,
I'll say fish buddy.
yeah, her fish buddy, I thought it was actually pretty decently well written for something that was had some sass to it, and they were making quips at each other back and forth and making little sarcastic remarks, even when she gets off the monster and he's driving away, when he's floating
Floating
away,
away.
she says something like looking ass monster or something like that. She says some kind of snarky remark like that, and you can hear him in the background go, "Hey, I heard that."
Yeah.
Next one's
Yeah,
begin.
next one we can mostly just skip. I will say because at least I have a little bit of semblance. Like, okay, it's just a WoW cinematic. It's
Yeah.
hold on. Kind of again, like basically Microsoft and my fondled us a little bit by that. I mean, like, oh, it's like, is this gonna be on Game Pass or is this gonna be on console? Nope, it's just because we just want to show you guys that we
We
got
own
Blizzard.
them. We own you now. There you
The
go.
only thing is that at least for the WoW fans, they could be pissed off too because you think like, oh, are we getting more allied races? Like, nah, these are probably
Nope.
just characters we're gonna meet in the expansion.
Yeah, it's
Um,
again, this is another one where it's similar to ESO and Fallout 76. It's like reaching for my phone here. Like I know. You know what would have been crazy if they had announced it coming to Game Pass, or if they had said, "Hey, we're," even if it was just like a JPEG where they go, "Hey, we're working on WoW for console," or something. I don't know, something to justify it being here other than
yeah,
we've
like I don't
got
fucking know.
them. That's it. Next one, I mean, despite what it is, I don't really have much to say about it. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, which still doesn't have a release date. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
it's like
Uh
again, it's like, and it's not even a Kojima thing. Konami just still
no.
Yeah, we got no release date. Sorry, you
Yeah.
gotta wait still.
And this is another one where it's another one of these remakes where the art direction is completely different, where they're going for a realistic look to it. But thankfully, I've heard that you can put on some kind of filter that makes the game look like the original art direction, which I guess, I mean, they had something
Okay.
like that for the Shadow of the Colossus and Demon Souls remakes that Bluepoint did, but it's not the same. So I wonder if this filter is really going to make much of a difference. I, I I really need to see how they treat the Silent Hill 2 remake to really get a better sense of how this Metal Gear remake is going to go, but considering it's Konami, I just uh, I don't I don't know, man. I don't know. Next game, I think neither of us really have anything to say, which is Sea of
Uh,
Thieves again.
yeah. I
This is
mean,
another one.
we always just say it before. We're not playing
Yeah.
it, but we always support it. That it's awesome.
Yeah.
That it's still getting content.
It's the
Like that.
rare live service that is interesting to me.
Yeah, it's one of those rare things that actually it was pretty decent at launch, and it got better as it got patched, updated.
Oh, see, I
You
hated it
know,
at launch. I hated it
Mm.
at launch, but it's gotten a lot better since then.
I actually kind of liked it at launch
Oh,
personally.
interesting. See, I think I became I finally gave it a bigger shot when they did the Pirates of the Caribbean DLC, which I really liked. So that's when I finally realized, okay, I'm not gonna keep up with this game regularly, but it's definitely in a much better place now. I will admit, compared to launch. Next game is Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, which is
Yeah,
developed by A44 Studios, who are the team behind Ashen, another one published by Kepler Interactive. This finally got a release date, July 18th, 2024. And this is the only one on the list of the games that haven't been released yet that I actually got to try out, because there is a demo during the Steam, one of the Steam fests. I think it's Next
Steam Next
Fest.
Fest.
Next
Yep,
Fest.
Steam Next Fest.
And it was fine. I don't see myself committing the time to playing this, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it kind of feels like one of those like, and I'm pretty sure it is like it's almost like one of those focus like entertainment double A type
Yes,
games, you
it's a
know.
very double A take on the Souls like
That
game,
not that of
which
course it's bad, it's just like
no, it's just my main issue, and I can't criticize the game too much because this is an older build that this demo is running off of. But my issue with the demo overall was just the combat just didn't really feel as weighty as I would have liked it to, and
and
then just doing simple things like parrying and shooting just didn't feel as responsive or have as much impact as I was hoping that it would. But again, it's just a demo. It might be better by the time the game comes out. Maybe we'll see. Next game is Age of Mythology Retold, which is coming out September 4th, and it will be on Xbox Series X and S and PC. Game Pass day one. Yeah, Flintlock was also going to be on Game Pass as well, just to keep
yep.
that in there. But this is developed by World's Edge, which is a studio that doesn't really get as much exposure within Xbox's family of studios as the others, but they are actually pretty important because Age of Empires is a huge thing across Europe and Asia. So Xbox definitely have a little sleeper killer studio within their family, which is pretty cool. But Age of Mythology Retold, it looks cool, but it's not for
Yeah, it's
me.
great that it's great that I the best I could say, like, again, look, I don't care for RTS games, but it's great that the Age of Mythology fans are
Yeah,
finally getting something.
I know. I was more interested to see that Ara History Untold game that was shown off at the developer direct back in January, but we didn't see that, weirdly enough. But it got a release date during an Xbox post show podcast, which okay. Okay. So I don't know, Xbox. I don't know what you're doing with
Um,
these
uh,
podcasts of yours,
uh,
but whatever. Next game. So this is one we're gonna stop on for a little bit. Is Perfect Dark. Now, this
Yep.
doesn't have a release date or a release window, so I assume it's going to be 2026. So this is
The
the long in development and stuck in development hell reboot
I
of
the
Perfect Dark,
initiative. Yeah.
developed by the
Like, oh
Initiative,
boy.
and then they had to get help from Crystal Dynamics,
AK bail
and
them out. Bail them out.
yeah, but basically, yeah, because for a game that has been stuck in development hell for a long time, I thought this looked shockingly good for something that has been, no
Yep.
pun
And
intended, in the dark for as long
yeah, it's
as
kind of
it
like
has.
yeah, it's kind of like a Dead Island 2 scenario where it was
Yes,
like you said,
exactly.
like, oh, where it's like, oh my god, it's been away for so long, but it's like, oh, it's
Looks
actually
good.
pretty good.
I the demo the the gameplay that they showed off looked a little like it was a vertical slice. Like they just compacted all the different features in the game to one
Yeah,
little digestible
I call
thing.
it I call it scripted gameplay,
Yes,
basically.
it is, but I, unlike some of the other games on this list, I have a much better idea of how this game plays compared to certain other games that, or at least in the second to second gameplay, because when you look at this footage, it looks like a blend of Mirror's Edge, the immersive sim stuff from Dishonored or Deus Ex, and considering the immersive sim has basically been killed off for the most part by Embracer and Xbox, this I think is, it's like, fine, I'll take it. I'll take another immersive sim at this point,
Yeah, because
even if
like
it's been stuck in
the
development
only
hell.
immersive sim, yeah, the only immersive sim I've been playing was like Fallen Ace, and that's like more of a double A indie game by New Blood, which by the way, people should play it. Really good immersive sim. They
Mm.
just got the first chapter out for $8 if you want to buy that.
But
But yeah, this was like
this looks
yeah,
pretty
sorry,
good.
you guys.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
But this looks pretty good. I'm not gonna say that I was wowed by the gameplay. I think I was more wowed in that it didn't look like hot garbage for a game that's been in development for this long. It actually looked like something that I would be interested in playing, because I liked the different stealth elements that they had, such as, her doing the parkour stuff that, like I mentioned earlier, is big Mirror's Edge influence. You have the stuff where she's able to capture the voices of different people in that device and then use them to get around the environment, to get through security passes and to create distractions. I like that. I like the combat that they showed where you're doing shit like wrapping your legs around people's necks to choke them out, and then while you have somebody in a bind around your leg, you shoot the other people coming in. I thought that all looked really cool, and it could all be
Only thing,
bullshit, but
yeah,
I
I was
thought
gonna say,
as a concept.
I hope it isn't like, right. I mean to cut you off. I'm just
Oh, you're
saying
good.
that, like, oh, I really hope that's not BS, like all that stuff, even
That's
though
what
it's
that's the thing that
scripted.
concerns me about it, is that it's the reason I'm hesitant to call it a demo, because it's more like a vertical slice, and that's not always indicative of the minute to minute experience that we're going to be doing. But as far as a general idea of what this Perfect Dark remake or reboot is going to be like, I think they did a really damn good job of selling me, at least, on what they're going for with this reboot. So I thought this was definitely one of the more interesting and I would say successful presentations compared to one of the other ones we're going to get to very
The,
shortly.
o-
But
the only
yeah.
thing that ruined it afterward was freaking Matt Booty showing up. Like, oh,
Oh
get
yeah.
out of here, Matt Booty.
So next game is Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, which is
Oh
coming
god,
out
yeah,
October 8th,
get that shit out of my face.
which I don't give a fuck about Diablo 4, but that cinematic, when I watched it later, I like that her arm gets split open and then the tendril thing comes out. I thought that was cool in a gross, disturbing way. I liked that. It's not at all what the game is going to be like, but that was a cool little cinematic.
Yeah, it's
But
like the day after my birthday, the game will be out.
well, there you
DLC
go.
technically, and I'm like, ugh. October 8th.
That sucks that you get things you don't care about around your birthday, but I can normally get things that's like, ooh, I want to play that. I'll take some time off for this.
Yeah.
But the game that I was referring to, the next one that I felt like had a much weaker presentation, was Fable, which finally got a release window, which is going to be 2025.
And we got quote unquote gameplay, but once
No,
again, this is scripted
no.
gameplay.
Yeah, I have a I have a diatribe to go on about that, but this is developed by Playground Games, who of course did the Forza Horizon series, published by Xbox themselves. And dude, this presentation, I honestly don't even know why this was here. Because this was the exact this trailer was almost the exact same structure as the last one that we got during the showcase last year. It's some guy looking at the camera doing a Fox interview, and you get little interspliced little bits of cutscenes and in-engine quote gameplay unquote. But this was the one that everybody was freaking out over. That look, I like Mr. Matty Plays a lot. I like Lord Cognito a lot. I like their Xbox podcast they do together. It's one of the very few game podcasts that I can stomach. But I do not understand where this praise for this trailer is coming
I
from.
don't know why they
I
sucked
don't
the
get it.
copium on that.
I
Seriously,
don't get
guys.
it because
Like,
especially Maddie, and again, I really like Maddie. Maddie's cool. I've had
especially his interview with Todd Howard. That was one of the
that was
best
really good.
interviews I ever saw.
I was
Sorry, but
I
anyways,
was
yeah, back on topic.
I
Yeah,
was
back on
very
topic.
happy
Sorry.
that he got that interview for the record. Very, very happy. But
Yeah,
Maddie was talking about how this trailer proved the doubters wrong regarding the gameplay, and
yeah,
I
no,
don't agree.
Maddie, no.
No, I don't agree at all. I think
Even when,
maybe
even yeah,
I,
you go.
I think this was maybe more just he was on a showcase high and talking about it, but after this gameplay, I am more doubtful than ever that this is going to actually be what is this? I mean, I'm more doubtful about it because they keep refusing to show extensive
And a
gameplay.
reminder, and I don't, I again, and people keep saying it's bullshit how I say it, but I don't care. I will say it. Look, these guys have never made an RPG game before. They've only made card games, and they said it publicly. They needed time, and they've delayed it and whichever because they keep saying it. We never made an RPG game before, and I just feel
Oh,
like, and I'm just saying, like, if this it turns out to be crap, it's like, yeah, it's like Microsoft maybe not hire people that have no experience making these type of games.
I just, I just, especially when you compare this trailer to Perfect Dark, where Perfect Dark has been in development hell for a long time, and yet that got a more extensive look at actual gameplay compared to this that's supposed to be coming out in 2025. And I still have no idea what this new Fable will be like when it comes to things like gameplay, combat, exploration, narrative, whether or not it will actually have a deep choice and consequences system.
Oh yeah, also too, people are thinking like, oh, is this gonna be like the first Fable where it's like, oh, you couldn't even change your gender? Like, are we just gonna play that one chick and we can't even change her look? And I'm pretty sure you can change your look. If they don't do that, it's like, yeah, no, because I right, we've seen so many comments about saying, oh my god, this chick is fucking ugly
And
and all
I
that other
yeah,
stuff.
and I don't really care one way or another. It's just I would like a character creator. That would be nice,
Yeah, that would be nice.
but I just don't know with this Fable game, and I strongly disagree with the sentiment that this trailer proved the doubters wrong. I don't agree
You know,
with
if
that at
anything,
all.
it's like, bro, it's the exact same trailer,
Yeah.
except like instead of like, oh, our character dealing with I'll say like quote unquote monster who is also being interviewed,
Hmm.
it's just some random douchebag I don't give a fuck about.
He's probably going to be a big character, and I know what he's talking about is probably the rival hero at the when he's talking about how there was a hero that made a bunch of mistakes and did weird, creepy shit.
Yeah, a character from the first game will probably, right, is the character he is talking about. But even then, it's like I really hope this game also as well, because we've seen like two big actors, right, get into this. I really hope it's not like the whole, you know what I mean. Oh, we gotta pay them, and oh, this will encourage people to buy them because they like this actor. No, that's not why we play video games.
It's like
Stop it with
the
that.
it's like the Alone in the Dark remake that bombed and they had to shut
Or
the
that
studio
or that
down because
that
they
payday ripoff. Remember that payday ripoff crime, whatever the fuck it's
oh that
called, the
that
Crime
Rockay
City.
City. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what
Oh
the
god.
fuck was that? Like,
What
come
a waste of
on.
money. So next game is FragPunk, which
Which is another 5v5 hero shooter.
yeah, that's card based. My favorite thing. Developed
What
by Bad Guitar Studio, published by Thunderfire Studios, coming out in 2025. I'm telling you, man, if Expedition 33, you know that matches my taste in games almost perfectly. This is the exact opposite.
and you know me. Again, yeah, you know me. I am I'm a TF2 guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more a casual class-based shooter guy. I
Yep.
do not give a fuck about 5v5 hero shooters that like always try to make shit competitive because that's the
Yeah.
fastest way these motherfuckers will make money. And it's like you need to stop doing that
Maybe
because
make
it's
a
like
maybe make a good game first before you start worrying about the
exactly.
competitive scene.
Exactly. Just make it good. Stop thinking about the fucking money, you idiots.
Next game is Winter Burrow, which is the little mouse top-down mouse
Yeah,
game. Which,
yeah, which is basically
eh,
don't starve but with furries. Okay.
oh my god! But it's gonna be coming to
I'm sorry, I had to mention that one on that.
it's gonna be coming to early access in 2025. It's developed by Pine Creek Games, published by Noodle Cake. What the
Yeah,
hell?
noodle cake.
And it just looks fine. I really don't have anything to say about this
Yeah.
one, honestly.
Let's
So
check the next one. All right, just
Mixtape.
wait.
This one looks
Oh
good.
yeah, this one looks nice. Yeah, you go. Yeah.
So this is the next game from the developer Beethoven and Dinosaur, who did this game that I quite like called The Artful Escape. And it's published by Annapurna Interactive, which is a publisher I quite like. And it's going to be coming out to 2025 on Xbox Series X and S, PS5, PC, coming to Game Pass day one. I dig the vibe and premise of this game quite a bit. I like this idea. I'm not. Here's the thing. I've talked a lot about how I'm tired of this navel gazing nostalgia bullshit, but the concept of this game, especially when they are experiencing like heightened memories from their high school years on their final day of high school, something about that resonates with me. So I am interested to play this, and I know the selling point of this game is going to be the soundtrack, which is going to be a copyright nightmare. So I hope they have an alternate soundtrack that people can listen to if they
Yeah,
want to
like a
stream this.
stream
Yes,
friendly soundtrack.
like what they did with Hi-Fi Rush, where they just had all the
That
songs
was nice.
replaced with
Yeah,
the
that was nice.
yeah, which they
Oh,
replaced it
the
with the
one
cover
thing
stuff.
right, the one thing I love too is just like with South to Midnight, the characters are framed differently,
Yes.
but the game again, I'm glad that this is starting to become a thing now because it's actually, without it already getting too old,
Hmm.
it's good. I like it, you
Yeah.
know.
If they can make it work, definitely, and not be offensive to my eyes, then I'm all for it because I like the look and feel of the stop motion animation. I'm a
Yeah.
big stop motion guy. Next game is we can pass through some of these. So Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. They finally got a
Yeah, I
release
mean,
date,
it's
November
same old,
19th.
same old. Yeah,
Yeah, it looks
same old, same old.
stunning. It's just not my thing gameplay
And
wise.
would probably, I mean, it could run on my computer probably, but not your computer. Your computer would probably
No,
blow up.
my computer would probably take off like a 747 and fly out the
like
window trying to
like a
run this
plane.
thing.
It's like let's see. Oh yeah, we could skip. Okay. Oh, this one I think
Elder
we were going to
Scrolls
talk
Online.
about is Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh
Okay, but
no.
this is like actually off topic, but like seriously, and we're already going to spoil this, but whatever. But like seriously, there was no Fallout 3 or Elder Scrolls 4 remake. You just wanted to
Nope.
put out Elder Scrolls Online. 10
With
years and
with that
Fallout
song.
76. Like fuck. Like what were you doing then?
I watched the because I went for a piss break during the Elder Scrolls Online trailer, but I went back later and I watched this trailer and I just I couldn't have rolled my eyes harder if I tried. I mean, just this is another one where they're trying to be like, oh, look at us. We're contrasting the seriousness of Elder Scrolls
That
Online with this
one,
goofy
yeah.
song.
Oh my god, yeah. They were
Like,
trying to be so
okay.
fucking hip and cool and modern, and I'm like,
Alright.
shut the fuck up. Seriously.
Shut up. So next one is, speaking of shut up, it's Life is Strange Double Exposure, which is coming out
That
October
is
29th.
that is, that is
Yeah.
still a fucking stupid name. I'm sorry.
I get what they're going for,
God.
is because Max is a photographer. I get it, but it's just eh. And it's developed by, the real killer for me is that this is developed by Deck 9, who made what I would argue is the worst, a significantly worse game after the original Life is Strange, in that Before the Storm prequel, which I thought was fucking dreadful, honestly. And published by Square Enix again. Fuck it, dude. Square Enix popping up all throughout the summer with things that I mostly don't
Again,
care
another
about.
game coming in October. Like, really? Fuck you guys. Seriously.
That's Square Enix. I mean, Square Enix, thankfully, they're doing the Dragon Quest remaster. Thank fucking God. They have something at least I'm interested in for the rest of
And
this year.
I
But
well, yeah, it's like, again, I'll say before I say again, if I could Doctor Who time travel, I would never let this game exist, like this series in general exist. I just don't like it. I hate it. I hate Max. I hate Chloe. I hate every character. Oh, I've seen playthroughs of this. I'm like, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you.
yeah.
I seriously, I don't like any character at all. It's this is a first for
Oh.
me.
And this,
I
I've said this many times, but the characters are not the reason that I like the original Life is Strange. It's purely the atmosphere. That's why I like the original one. It has a very lovely fall, calming, sad, melancholic atmosphere to it, and I love that. And I love certain sequences in the first Life is Strange. Like there's one where you have to use the information that you may or may not have gotten to talk down one of your classmates from committing suicide, which is and they play that
self-deleting,
completely
yeah,
straight.
self-deleting.
Yeah, and they play that completely straight, which I think is, which I like that sequence a lot. But then you get shit like just the dumb fucking dialogue and the annoying fucking characters that pop up every so often, and just the ending is not very good. And then they do Life is Strange 2, which is not. I played
Is
the
one of
first
oh
episode,
my
and
god.
I was like, I have no motivation to keep playing
And
this.
all it is one of the worst adventure games I've ever seen in my entire life. And especially, and don't want to get into politics, but you know why. You know
Oh
why.
yeah. I know, it's
I
so
was like,
cartoonish,
it's so obvious and so
so
fucking
cartoonish.
stupid.
There's a
Oh, no, you go,
just to not spoil the ending of Life is Strange 2. There's an instance in the first one where the two kids who are Hispanic, they're in this like forest area at this rest stop, and there's a bit where this guy comes up to them, and he goes he says something along the lines of, you're the reason why they should build the wall. And I went, oh my
Oh my
god, are you
god, yeah.
serious? And just how
And
cartoonishly on the nose it all is. And
the
oh
most, and
my
I'll say it, and
god.
I'll say it real quick before we get to the next game, is like, and as pathetic as it is, yup, one of the younger brother who has superpowers, right? Just like Life is Strange does that bullshit. Yes, he tears down the wall so he and his brother can escape
Yeah.
out of whatever the fuck they are going to. I don't know if they're going back to
They're
you
going back
know,
to Mexico, I think.
oh my god,
I
which is
think,
like,
well, it's one, I know it's one of the endings you can get, because I didn't play the other episodes, but
of course,
I remember you're the one that told me about this ending, and I went, are you fucking serious? And I
yeah,
went and I looked it
I was
up,
like,
and I
dude,
was
I swear to
laughing
God,
out
yeah, I was
loud.
like, dude, oh my god.
It was so just, oh my god. But anyway, speaking of cartoonish, we have Indiana
Yeah.
Jones and the Great Circle, which, why does this not have a release date? What the hell is going on? Why does this not have a release date? This in another game. Why does this not have a release date?
There is like
What's
one
going on?
sequence in like in the when the the showcase for Indiana Jones, which I was like, the one of the German dudes like choo choo, and I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
he's
no,
doing this,
totally.
doing
I don't know if
Steamboat
it's
Willie.
like a part of my brain is like, oh, they're trying to like do it like the old Indiana Jones movies, and I'm like,
I
I
can't
don't know
remember
if they,
any of the
yeah,
Nazis
right.
being that cartoonish.
I was about to say, yeah. I'm like, wait, did the old Indiana Jones movies do that, or is that more like the? Oh my god, like I'm almost about to puke my mouth when I say it, like the Disney Indiana Jones
Oh
movie.
no,
Oh
I fuck.
god,
I don't even think the. I don't remember anything that as just at least with a direct quote from one of the Nazis. I don't remember
yeah,
them being that cartoonish in Dial of Destiny,
yeah,
but there are. I'll say this, and this is another one where I'm not particularly sold on the gameplay still because, and again, this would have been a perfect time to sell me on it with an extensive look at gameplay, but they chose to do a cinematic instead, which okay, but I will say that this cinematic is the first thing that I've seen from Indiana Jones in a while, a long while, that comes close enough to matching the feel of the original trilogy. Where it's not as the original trilogy doesn't have shit like the Nazi going choo choo or any shit like that, but close enough. You have instances where that one guy falls off the ship and dies, and then the Nazi and Indiana Jones like they have like a laugh at each other, and then Jones punches him and then throws him off the ship as well. Which
yeah.
I'm glad Indiana Jones is directly murdering people in cold blood because this is something that is a it's a misunderstanding of Indiana Jones where they go, oh, it's a family movie. Fuck that.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no,
no,
no, no, no,
he's not Batman where he'll beat the shit out of you and let you live.
no.
No, I mean, like, yeah, and especially like I always keep saying, like, yeah, oh, it's a family movie. Well, remember
Nope.
the first one? He literally kills a dude that tried to like fight him with a sword.
I know this sounds sadistic, but this has always been what Indiana Jones is. Indiana Jones is not some lighthearted, oh, look at me, some
Oh, yeah, I'm
adventure.
just here on that
It's a
venture to get the relic.
violent
No,
fucking
I will
movie.
kill a dude. Yeah, I will kill a dude. It's
Yeah.
like, to and like heck, like I've read the stories too as a teenager. Like, dude was hardcore. And it makes sense,
Yeah.
he's risking his freaking life
Yeah.
and against grown men that will kill him, you know?
They're Nazis, they're cultists, they're the Chinese mafia, they're the Russians. It's like, hey, these
Literally, yeah,
guys,
these
yeah,
guys are deadly. These guys
yeah,
are deadly. The one thing I love from the gameplay,
hmm
from it at the very least, is that like machine guns like really, and I think it works for Indy's case, is that in terms of the melee combat system, and not just the fist fights, he improvises like a lot. Like he'll grab something, throw it at
yes,
somebody.
I
He'll
do like
grab
that.
a makeshift melee weapon and hit him with it like a shovel or
Yes,
something. I'm like, yeah, Indy does that all the
yep,
time.
very in the spirit of Indiana Jones. Last thing I'll say about Indiana Jones is that I think this is a strange case where while I'm aware that it is Troy Baker doing the voice of Indiana Jones, I actually think he sounds pretty damn close to Harrison Ford,
What
which is
like
good.
crazy, yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. Like he's good.
There are elements
Also
where I
I
definitely
love
can hear Troy
yeah, I love
Baker,
the
but
Raiders reference too. I love the Raiders of the Lost Ark
oh,
reference
that's
with the
right.
ball.
I wonder
Yep.
if that's going to be the tutorial where they're going to have you
Yeah, it's
play
probably a
through.
tutorial.
They're going to have you play through that opening scene of Raiders in first person, and then you get to run away from. You get to do shit like run away from the boulder. You get to dodge the spikes and the trap doors and stuff like that. That will actually be. You wanna sell me on this game, guys? Show me what that prologue looks like.
Next game is I don't care about this game. You can talk about
I don't. It's called Mecha Break, just to give it its due. It's coming out 2025. Xbox Series X and S,
one
PS5,
of those
PC.
stupid ass
It's another mech
mobile
game,
port PC games, yeah.
developed published by Amazing Season Games. Like, okay, I think we can move on to Wuchang Fallen Feather, which is coming out 2025 for Xbox Series X and S, PS5, PC, coming to Game Pass day one. Developed by Lean Z Games, published by 505, which was surprising. And I'll be honest, I was into this until I found out it was a Souls-like, and then I
Yeah,
went,
same,
"Oh,
same.
okay."
Okay.
Because at this stage of the game, unless you're from software or you're developing something extremely compelling,
Especially with their
I
new DLC that just came out, like, oh my god, like holy
yeah,
crap,
I think
you
I've
know.
reached my saturation point with Souls likes and their
Uh,
elements. I mean, fuck, I'm playing a somewhat Souls like Sekiro kind of thing right now in Rise of the Ronin, and it ain't fucking Sekiro as far as the gameplay goes. So
yeah,
we need to stop this. But I like the look of it. It's just when I found out it was yet another Souls like, I just went, oh. But I like that vampire thing that was
yeah.
in the
I
trailer. It
remember
looks
like
cool.
we both were trying to figure out like what the hell the name of this game was. I said it
Yeah.
like one way, and you said it like another way, and it was like, oh, it's all together. Like you have to say it all together.
Yeah. Next game is Avowed, which
Yep.
again, this does not have a release date, but it's coming out this year, I guess. It's developed,
Yeah,
of course,
it's
by
yeah.
Obsidian. Uh,
Well,
take
they
it
did
away.
leak.
Whatever.
They did leak the release date, but
Oh, that's
they might
right.
change it. I believe it's November 12th. November 12th is the release date.
I'll look this up while you're explaining your
Yeah.
thoughts about
So okay.
Avowed.
Yeah. So Avowed is basically like basic. I'm not gonna say oh it's a Skyrim take on like Pillars of Eternity, but it's basically like it's a kind of sequel to. It is confirmed a sequel to Pillars of Eternity 2. Now it's like going from a CRPG, it's an action RPG. You basically are this dude that goes um you go to the living lands and you're basically trying to figure out what this like fungus like magical disease is. You got your usual stuff. It's a bit of lesser reach compared to like the RPGs, but like, that'd be pretty cool. You get to choose your faction, you got your typical combat stuff like that. The cool thing is like the third person is confirmed in this
Yes.
game. So
Okay.
that's cool. That's cool. Um, you got multiple choices and stuff like, oh, you can, and yeah, if people, the good news is this, and I'm kind of like, I don't know why, I was kind of irked at this trailer, not that about itself, I was like, I was tired of it of like, what I mean, the editing and all the other stuff, like, I don't know, like,
It
because it's like, oh
eh.
well, you got to show like you can't be showing off all the mechanics stuff like that. But yeah, but like this isn't really an action game; it's an action RPG.
That's the
You know,
thing. That's you bring up a good point in that I don't think they've been doing as good enough job as they should be showing off the RPG elements. And you were right about it being November 12th that got leaked.
and
But
and the one thing too, yeah,
yeah,
and that's I feel like that's not an Obsidian issue; that's a Microsoft issue because they
sure.
marketed, yeah,
Yeah, they're
the
not
marketing like oh, their marketing
Xbox
is
is
so fucking
notoriously
good.
bad at marketing, yeah.
But
But
yeah, I think
did you watch
so.
the
You go.
20 did you watch the 25-minute developer deep dive
Yes, I
after
did.
the
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I thought they should have taken bits of that
Snippets
and
of that,
just
yeah, like
yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Because I think they just did the story trailer during the showcase, which was fine. I really just need to see how the choice and consequences of this game, the RPG elements of this game are going to play out
Especially, yeah, like
because
they give you,
yeah.
like especially, what is it? They give you like, I'm not gonna spoil it, but they give you like two very different paths you can take when you're talking to this one character, and I thought, yeah, that's really cool. I like that, and it's like the environments are much better, combat is much better.
The
Um, you
animation
know,
definitely looks way better now.
Yeah, which is like if people were like complaining before on their previous game, Outer Worlds, if like, oh, the combat sucks balls. Yeah, no, like Avowed is like the thing what I love about Obsidian, I know like a lot of their older dudes have left the studio, but like I love what I think I love about them is that they actually fucking listen to criticism and they actually like want to get some too. And unlike Bethesda, I think like will the game be buggy at launch? I believe so. Will it be as bad as Bethesda's? Absolutely not. At
It'll
least
be
Outer Worlds, like when I played it day one, I could play through the whole game. It being a buggy freaking mess and not it being
yeah.
like,
I didn't have to go on
bad.
Reddit to try to figure out if what I was encountering was a bug or not,
Yeah, exactly. Like, what
unlike
the fuck?
Starfield. I still can't
Oh
get
my
over
god.
that. Where I literally had to go on Reddit 5 separate times, at least 5 separate times, to look up if what I was encountering was a bug or not. And 4 out of the 5 times, I think it was. Next
Oh,
game
shit.
is one that I'm very interested to talk to you
Yeah, this was
about.
like my number one, like most
Yeah,
interested game on the showcase. This is Atom Heart.
Atomfall,
So Atomfall, sorry. I keep confusing it with the
Atomic
Russian
Heart. Yeah. No,
Atomic
I
Heart,
get
yeah.
you.
Which is like, and to be clear, this is actually like you're in England. You're
Hmm.
not in Russia in this case.
Right.
And you're trying to like, it got like the multiple factions thing going in.
Hmm.
I thought it was gonna be like more multiplayer survival, but it's like it's actually single player
Yep.
survival.
That I
So
was
that's
very
interesting.
surprised to see after that
Yeah.
trailer.
So, yeah, again, gameplay looks really nice and tight, and it's like, I'd almost dare say it's almost got that half Stalker, half Wolfenstein feel to it,
Yeah, it's
especially with
made.
some of the enemies, like this one dude that's like all like looks like a zombie. You can see his rib cage glowing,
Yes.
like yeah, total Wolfenstein feel to that.
Well, it's
And the
made by
robot, yeah,
it's made by Rebellion, who did Sniper Elite. So this is definitely something different for them because it's
yeah,
not a third person game. It's all going to be in first person. It's a survival action single player survival action game, which is interesting. But I like the setting of this, where it's an alternate history timeline where there was this fire a long time ago, back in 1957, that was at the Windscale atom plant. And this is an alternate history where if that fire caused a lot more damage than it ended up doing in real life, where a lot of radioactive fallout occurred across Britain and just totally fucked everything up. This is what the result would be, at least within the game's lore. And I really like the setting. I think it's
mm,
such a cool idea. And especially when you start seeing the more trippy sci-fi elements that the game has, that I'm very keen to see how this ties into the, because it's, I'm not gonna say the beginning of the trailer was realistic, but it had a more realistic vibe to it with the automatons walking around and people in groups and stuff like that. And then you start getting to the weird shit like the zombies and the, it had this weird rainbow colored light thing that might be an alternate timeline or something weird
yeah.
like that. I'll have to see more of it before I can kind of get a feel. But this is also going to be on Game Pass day one, which is, I think, is a good get for Xbox because
Yeah.
it is a very interesting looking game.
I just hope
But
it's not like Atomic Heart where it's like I tried to play it and even on my PC that game was not optimized at all. Like at least on my at least like I don't know if you tried to play it and it felt
no,
unoptimized to you like
I didn't
yeah.
play it because I remember looking at one of the cutscenes because I had
Uh-huh.
heard about how terrible the dialogue was, and
Yeah, it is. The
I
dialogue
watched
and
a
voice
couple
acting.
cutscenes for
Oh.
myself, and I went, "Oh God, I'm not going to be able to stomach this. This is so bad." But I'm looking forward to this. I know. You said this is your number one for the showcase.
Yeah, I just thought like, hey, it's
Nice.
got that like Wolfenstein feel to me, which
Yeah.
God, I really want Wolfenstein to come back, please.
So next game is, I really
Yeah,
don't have anything to say about
Assassin's Creed
this.
Shadow. Which
Yeah.
again, I'm
Eh,
like, if you guys like Assassin's Creed, that's cool. And I don't know, for some reason, I feel like this game shouldn't have been the showcase, but that's just me. That's just me
no.
personally.
I mean, it was another one of these of, oh hey, come check out our showcase kind of thing. Like they did this last year with Star Wars Outlaws at the Xbox thing, where they only showed a little cinematic, and then they showed up at the Ubisoft Direct a couple days later, or maybe even the next day. So it was kind of a similar thing, like a marketing thing. It had more substantial gameplay compared to that Outlaws trailer last year, but I just look at Assassin's Creed Shadows and just go, no, I'll wait for Ghost of Tsushima 2. Thank you. That's okay.
Yeah, same.
I
I
don't
would
need
either go
this.
with Ghost of Tsushima or Rise of Ronin. I don't need Assassin's
Even
Creed
even
Shadows.
even Rise of the Ronin, man. I'm as fun as some of the elements of that game are. It just makes me go, oh, let's get Ghost of Tsushima 2 back, please, because Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a scale. It's like I could imagine you like, oh, you play Assassin's Creed, play Rise of Ronin. You play Rise of Ronin, you're like, I'll just play Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. We need to
Let's see.
stop a lot of
Let's see.
these
Yeah.
Japanese focus games where you play as a samurai. They're taking so much inspiration either from Sekiro or Ghost of Tsushima or both for
Yeah,
these days, where you're playing as either a rodent or a samurai or a ninja. That it's I'm worried that by the time Ghost of Tsushima 2 comes out and they don't change the formula up enough that it's going to feel derivative. But I know it will at least be much more visually stunning compared to Assassin's Creed Shadows or Rise of
yeah.
the Ronin. Jesus,
But yeah, next
yeah.
game is was it Stalker 2, which I'll admit, very good from the gameplay I saw.
We finally have a release date too, which is September 5th, 2024.
Which, like, again, once again, we all said before, but just in case if they do delay it, totally fine, because
Yeah.
it's in Ukraine, they're in a war right
Yep.
now. We totally get you,
Isn't it the that's the developer and publisher? It's GSC Game World, and they're based out of Ukraine. Which, of course, with everything going on in Ukraine the last few years, the fact that this game is still coming out at all, I would say, is a
A
miracle.
miracle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
miracle.
it's a miracle that this is still coming out, and I'm much more interested in the story around this game than the game itself. But I I admire the resilience and will that the people behind GSC Game World have.
Like, it looks amazing, honestly. If they, like, I'm not gonna lie, if they opted in the future to put multiplayer online, I think this would blow
Ooh,
up even more. But it still would blow up. It's Stalker, we haven't
yeah.
had Stalker game in forever.
This is another one that's going to be Game Pass day one release. So
Which is
yeah,
great. Yeah, great.
yeah,
So
good for them.
again, once again, like, at least this year, at least if we both opted, like, we'll get Game Pass, at least there's like some games like, okay, we can get this in Game Pass,
Yeah, I'm not
okay.
gonna cancel my subscription yet because there's. I mean, shit. I actually just I installed Still Wakes the Deep this morning when I
Oh, is it is
I'm
it out?
it's
Oh,
out, so I'm gonna
oh
check it out a little
shit.
bit tonight and see what's
I
up.
should tell I should tell my bro. Yeah, I can't believe it's September 5th. Like,
Hmm.
I kept thinking, like, oh, I thought, right? You thought it was next year, right? Or
I
not
thought it
just
was gonna
me.
get
I thought
delayed
it was,
again,
yeah.
but that's a lot sooner than I expected, which is really
And
good.
once again, the only thing disappointing from Stalker 2 is Sarah Bond coming. Hi guys, Sarah Bond here. As you can see from my
Wow,
face, facial
Stalker 2.
expression.
Wow. So speaking of Sarah Bond, she came out, and this is something that I wanted to quickly talk about, which is the new
Oh
console
yeah,
variants.
yeah, the console
Which
thing. Okay. Yeah.
so this is she announced three new variants of the Xbox consoles, which is coming out holiday 2024, and I have the types and the prices here. So she announced an Xbox Series S that is 1 terabyte in Robot White. That is $350. Then she announced an Xbox Series X all digital version for with 1 terabyte for $449.99 US dollars. And then she announced what I think is the most ridiculous one, which is the Xbox Series
Special
X 2
edition.
terabyte. It's a limited edition one that has a disc drive, but it's $600. Um, I don't. Does Are you okay? So, are
Well, I
you
was about to
okay?
say, what are you just charging it just because, oh, we got this black, because it's like, oh, it's
It's two
not digital, and
terabytes.
oh, it's got that galaxy black
Galaxy
skin,
Black,
and oh, 2 terabytes,
2 terabytes.
which is ridiculous.
Wow. And
I
it's
wonder if I would argue, like, bro, I could get my PlayStation 5, right? Go to Micro Center, switch it out, and that'd be much cheaper than whatever the hell you guys are thinking with that.
I could buy a PS5 and get one of the older models of it, like the especially if it was on sale, like it was the last couple weeks for 449. Get a larger hard drive or SSD and get a game and be fine. And it comes pre-installed with Astrobot on it. So, yeah. Um I
Yeah, rare
I don't.
PlayStation win.
Yeah,
Rare PlayStation win over
I don't know
there.
what Xbox is doing with these variants, but especially that all digital 1 terabyte Xbox Series X being why is that $100? Why isn't that just 50? Why isn't that 400? Why aren't you
Why
trying to
isn't that
undercut the
$50
PS5?
more? Yeah.
Because I mean, you could buy an all digital PlayStation 5 for the same price, $449.99, and it goes on sale pretty frequently nowadays. So you could get it for $400 right now, and you'll have only like 825 gigabytes of storage on that. You won't have the full terabyte, but it's hey, if this is their way of incentivizing people. And another thing too is that I would have bet money on them announcing some kind of Call of Duty bundle during this showcase with a special edition Xbox, and they didn't do it. Which either they're going to do it later, which to me just makes too much sense to do it in general, or they don't do it and they're even dumber than I thought, not doing a
Yeah.
bundle with Black Ops 6. If they don't do that for the holiday season, or at least with a special edition, with a limited edition looking Xbox Series X with that Cerberus logo on it, what the fuck are you guys doing? Who's in
I know
charge of your
that's like perfect. That's like perfect Xbox
Who's in
console idea
charge?
right there.
Who's in charge of your marketing? Who's in charge of the fucking who decides who gets to get a console variant made with a limited edition one? They need to get a fucking smack across the back of the head with a rolled up newspaper.
Good, yeah. Their marketing is so
It
horrible. Like,
sucks.
or like, yeah, their marketing and their concepts, like regarding, like, yeah, excluding their games. Like, yeah, when they like trying to do like shit with the consoles and controllers, it's like, it's always horrible.
The thing is, Xbox only seems to give a shit about marketing when it comes to their big games, or their when the consoles are first coming out. And then for some reason, over the last 2 generations, they have just dropped the ball really hard. I mean, let's just look at Hellblade 2 with how the lack of marketing for that. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, I mean, you maybe
and
had one trailer on HBO Max, or you had a a video of them talking and they're in Iceland. It's like, okay, what the hell are you guys doing? I
and
don't
that
get
like
it.
worries me with Avowed too. It's like,
Yes, yes, it
there's
does.
like there's no freaking marketing, and it's like it's Obsidian again. It's at least with like, Obsidian Ninja Fury, like, right? These guys made good games before. Like, why
Yes.
are you so like, we don't really care about?
Regardless of how these games turn out, you need to give them a market. I mean,
I know,
fucking look, I've talked a lot of shit about modern PlayStation, a lot of shit. But the one of the rare things that I think they are excellent at is marketing their damn games. I mean, fuck, look at Astrobot. Before that was even fucking announced, they set up at one of the European Champions Leagues games in London. They set up this massive, cool looking Astrobot pinball that people, like children, could walk up and play. And it's like, you
oh, I
hadn't
gotta
even
check that. I
announced
gotta check that.
you hadn't even announced your game yet, and you're already marketing it, getting people like in the kids in the mind space of like, oh, Astrobot, a funny little robot that has PlayStation branding fucking everywhere. So when they finally announce the damn game, children go, oh, that little Astrobot that was at the pinball at this cool soccer game that I went to.
Holy crap, yeah, like, I'm
Yeah,
looking at it now. Holy crap, that is
it's
really
awesome.
good,
It's cool as
yeah.
fuck. I wish I could go and play that, but this is what I'm talking about with the marketing. It's like, dude, and I'm not saying you need to release a Hellblade or pinball machine or anything like that. It's just get your fucking games in the headspace of the casual gamer, or at least your audience that isn't on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. You need to get the word out to people. This is
I
what
know, it's
PlayStation and
like
Nintendo are really good at, and Xbox just sucks at this.
this is like, yeah, it's like you're hiring, like, high school, college level marketers. They
Yeah,
have no idea what they're doing. They expect their freaking, less than 100 followers on Twitter to market their shit, and it's
yeah,
like, no, no, you can't do that. That makes no sense.
yeah. So and this, it's a little bit of a tangent, but it ties back to these consoles that it's like, what are you doing? What you sold less than 1 million units in your last quarter, and you think putting out an all digital variant with a fucking $600 version, the only one of these variants that has a disc is fucking $600, and you want to talk about game preservation, yet you also want to keep releasing these all digital consoles, and the only one that has a disc has $600. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. The final
Yeah.
game, thank God, is something that was actually cool. Is Gears of War E-Day, which thank fucking God Marcus is back. Thank you, Lord. Marcus and
Which
Dom are
I
back.
am like it's been a while, but I was like, oh my god, yes, we finally get to see like I would say super young
Yep.
Marcus. Because yeah, this is him and Dom and probably the other dudes. This is them on the day basically everything went to shit,
Mm-hmm.
which is like great. Because yeah, like when even I'm playing Gears of War 1, I'm like, man, I really wish we got like how it all started. Like, oh, how does
Yep.
Marcus know Dom and all this other stuff? And we're finally getting that. And usually I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm not a fan of prequel video games, but like these are like one of the few exceptions I really, really
Yeah.
enjoy.
I'm perfectly fine with this because I am not crazy about Gears 4 or 5, especially with the characters that you have to play as. And I really went, I'd rather just go back to Marcus. And then I, again, I normally don't care about prequels, but this is one story that I would be very interested in seeing because Marcus and Dom are back, and I'm going, okay. And this is coming from somebody that I think Gears of War, or at least the original trilogy, is is fucking awesome. those all three of those games are awesome. And
Yeah, a perfect trilogy.
yeah,
Perfect trilogy.
yeah, I never needed a Gears 4 and 5, especially after playing them, and it's like they're nowhere near as disappointing as Halo 4 and 5. I want to make that clear. I think Gears 4 and 5 are fine. Like they're decent games. They're not Halo 4 and 5. But I am excited that we're going back to Marcus. You know what's
Yeah,
funny
it's just
too?
like, yeah, what's up?
What's funny too? I said this during the stream, and I feel like an idiot. Is that I said something along the lines of when Marcus lost his bandana, he looked so young that I mistook him for JD for a few moments. And I went, "Oh, they're doing an artsy thing where they're showing how this conflict with the locust is impacting multiple generations of a family." And I told I told one of my friends that. I went, "Yeah, that trailer was so cool from a thematic standpoint." And he went, "Dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I think I
That
said
was not
two.
JD."
And no, I think I said two even from the beginning before you said it's like, yeah, dude, this is the game where it all started.
It's E-Day,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
I like that they confirmed that it's going to be a linear campaign. That's great because I
it's
think
good.
that's much better than doing this open world, this weird semi-open world thing that they did with Gears 5. And then they're going to focus more on the horror like elements from the original Gears of War, which I really like, which
If,
that's why the original Gears of War is my favorite one, because of the horror
yeah,
elements to it.
yeah, if it's like Gears 1, oh my god, like we were gonna be scared out
It'll
of
be
our
awesome.
freaking wits.
It'll be so cool. And then the only thing that disappoints me, but I get why it's not there, is that the chainsaw is not going to be there. I think they said there's going to be some kind of bayonet like weapon.
Yeah, as you saw in the game, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
saw in the cutscene.
And I went, all right, well, I like that chainsaw. That's iconic to Gears, but that's fine. If we go back to Marcus and Dom, then that's a trade off that I'm willing to accept. That's fine.
It's like one thing I know that I'll be excited about is yes, I think it's been confirmed the original voice actors will be back. So
Yes, Don
Um,
DiMaggio.
John Matches Marcus, like yeah, I can't wait for him to scream motherfucker. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that was the Xbox Games Showcase, which I still thought was pretty good, even after going through all of it.
my top five over there. Let's see. Oh, I got that in my honorable mention. And this
Oh,
might
okay.
be weird for you. Yeah, so my honorable mention is Fable.
Oh,
Um
interesting. Okay.
only because I'm like with the quote unquote scripted gameplay or what's supposed to be gameplay, it's like, okay, I can see what they're doing with that. If
Mhm.
it's actually like that, then okay, that'll be good. It's like, oh, that's a really cool combat, whatever. Number five, I put South of Midnight. I know it's down there,
Mhm.
but just because, out of all the games, that's was like my most interested. Number four is Avowed. Because me, a bit of an Obsidian fan. Not a fanboy. I've always criticized their games, but I'm a fan of that still. Number three is Stalker 2, because I've always like wanted to get back into Stalker, and this is perfect. Speaking of perfect, number two for me is Perfect Dark. I
Ooh.
just really like that. I'm getting into like immersive sims again, so that'll be good to get back. And my number one, as I've already said, is Atomfall.
Mhm.
So, just a good amount of lists.
Yeah. So I would say my honorable mention would be Mixtape, which
Yeah, good.
if I had seen more gameplay of it, it probably would have been higher, but I need to see more of it. But I think the concept is really cool. I like the art direction it's going for with the stop motion
Yeah,
animation.
interesting because you said mixtape was your number five
Yeah,
on your Twitter, and
I made
okay,
some
you're
changes.
it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
So number 5 is actually going to be Atomfall, which that was originally my honorable mention, but when I went back and I watched everything, Atomfall showed more actual gameplay, and I went, "Oh, okay, cool. This looks pretty interesting." Number 4 is Doom: The Dark Ages, which looks fucking dope. So I'm gonna switch now that we've been talking for a while. I'm gonna switch my number 2, number 3 that I put up on Twitter. Number 3 is gonna be South of Midnight, just because I would have liked to have seen more of the combat. Even if I thought the presentation itself was very strong for that game, it really sold me on the vision they're going for. Just needs a little more combat in there, just more extensive look at it. Number 2 is gonna be Perfect Dark, which I think for a game that has been in development hell for so damn long, I thought this was a very strong showing of it. Much, much better than I expected. And my number one, obviously, is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Again, terrible fucking title. Really promising looking turn based RPG with a very tragic story with beautiful art direction, a beautiful soundtrack already. I'm pumped. I can't wait for Expedition 33. I just wish they would change the damn title. One final note, do you have anything last thing you want to say about the showcase?
I do like again. I know it's a bit controversial, but
Mhm.
I like I said before in the beginning, I was very picky at the showcase, and I'm not gonna lie, there was only like maybe less than 10 games I liked on this showcase, and I'm
Mhm.
like, it was kind of disappointing. And I said before, and I don't care. I think like I have no idea why they had to like COD had to share so much space with this showcase. It was ridiculous. They should have
Yeah.
just done like a little thing and then that's it.
Keep it an hour. Just an hour, short and sweet, to the point.
Just like you didn't have to share this, right? This showcase and then do your own showcase. Like that was dumb. I'm sorry.
So, my final point that I want to say about this showcase is that even after that annoying fucking Phil Spencer interview that he did with IGN, where they gave him such softball questions and alley ooped him on certain things, which, ugh, that's a whole nother thing I could get into that I'm not gonna do today. I am still waiting for a detailed breakdown from somebody, anybody at either Microsoft or Xbox, of how they measure success regarding a first or second party title on Game
Yeah.
Pass. This is something that I am especially curious with, considering the games that they've shown off at this presentation. So, if Hi-Fi Rush surpassed all their metrics of success for them, and Tango still got shut down, and I'm not gonna, unlike the IGN interviewer, I'm not gonna let Phil Spencer off the hook for that one, or I definitely wouldn't. But how does Xbox define success now? This is my main question with Xbox now. Is it revenue? Is it new Game Pass subscribers? Is it downloads? Hours played? I need somebody at one of these media outlets to ask Phil Spencer, how do you internally define success? How do you determine what studios to close, which games to greenlight, and which games to reject, and which studios to keep open? I need to know. So someone, anybody at these outlets, ask Phil Spencer this question the next time that you get him in front of you. Please. And ask follow-up questions. This drove me nuts about the IGN interview. They did not want to ask good follow-up questions. So that's my final point about the showcase. And again, thank you so much, Clay, for joining. Again, I really appreciate your superhuman level of patience with me today. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, thank you all for watching, and go check out Clay on Twitch or Kick, YouTube. I'll have all your stuff in the description box.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm Razorblade Mango, and I will catch you all later. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.